Hey friends, uh, today we're going to discuss about the function and decorators. Basically, I am also pretty new to this YouTube channel as well as the learning more detail about the Python. Also, I'm still learning um, all the features and the functionality of the Python. I started learning Python maybe I would say 2 years back when I understand couple of um, knowledge. What I did is I started grabbing more information about the API and I jumped into on the Django and Flask and other kind of um, advanced one. But I forgot to uh, basically to learn more depth of the Python itself. So that is the mistake I did. Though I am able to handle personally using the Stack Overflow or Google with the help of Google, I could able to resolve all my project issues. But still, um, if you ask me by the time what how would you rate yourself about the Python, I would say a little nervous about to say about more than 5. The reason is I'm not comfortable with depth of Python knowledge. Rather, I would learn the basic and I started moving on advanced one. So maybe I most of the guys like me, they did the same mistake. So I want to have this session um, to understand more about the each individual Python features, and we'll try to learn in depth of the what is the functionality of the Python. So this session is actually um, it's like not a transition session. It's like both we all start together, start learning Python together. So because pretty much even I am not comfortable on what is functions and decorators. Most of the time, I was checking in the Google and or other kind of platform and trying to understand the stuff for time being. But I never um, understand the in depth of what is actually does. So I thought let's grab all the information articles from the internet forum and I just put in my document. So we'll all um, we'll all learn together. So pretty much I'm not having anything in my mind. We just started um, discussing whatever article I grabbed from the internet will stick with the same um, stuff. So so what I want to have at the end of this video is after we learn this functions and decorators topic, we'll try to implement in real-time situation. As I mentioned earlier, when I started learning, when I understand the basics of Python, I jumped on the advanced level like Django and Flask and or Tkinter, kind of all real-time world situation, right? Um, we'll try to implement with this learning along with the practical situation how this really implemented in the actual scenario. Okay, so let's start together. If you have any question, just put in comment section. We'll try to uh, give more clarity on what you have in your mind. Okay, so um, I'm go through. I'm going to discuss about all this topic what I copied from the various internet forum here. So we'll try to discuss in more depth of each individual sequels or sorry scripts and with the functionality. So functions and decorators, of course, um, I believe you guys have little more um, little understanding of Python, how does it works on variable objects and functions. Like let me quickly uh, s- write one um, function here. Uh, I'm giving the function name. So this is the way we have to give a function name. So def is a keyword, and following with space of function name, and I'm going to pass the to input parameter. I want to add this value, say return a plus b, and then I can simply um, print add 5 comma 6. So I should expect 5 plus 6 should return 11. Yes, it does. So this is the um, most simple two-line function which is we can written in Python. So it's a keyword, function name, and just I'm passing the parameter. I'm passing the value here. I'm just printing the value. So that's all there about. They have given about the how we can use the create the function passing the value in Python. Everything they're considered as an object, right? Like string, integer, float, list, so on. Even function can be a passed as an argument, which is nothing but is a object. So in Python, functions are called first class object, or sometimes they say first class citizens. Also is a function. So what I'm going to do is let me copy this, or 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 what I do is let me say um, hi, right? Say hi and hello. Sorry, this is a name, right? It should return name and return name. So I'm going to copy this. So I created this function. Um, Function name is say underscore hi, and I'm passing the argument as a value. It's a parameter's name. So I have to pass this value, right? And or or I would say using f uh, string, what we can do is we can welcome something like we can do. And so this function, it is taking the function, or I would say it's taking the function as a parameter and pass this function like this. So if I execute this function, what it will do is it will call as a function. Let's take a look at um, what it actually does, right? So what if I execute this print greet Bob? Let's say hi. See, since this the parameter what we are expecting to return, it should be a function, right? But what we are passing is it's a string, right? That's why it's saying string object is not callable, right? So pretty much the output error, type error, it is let us know the reason why it is not executing the string value, which supposed to be a function, right? So if it is a function, then I should expect I have to pass the function, right? So s- say I have this say underscore high function, it's already in place. So let's try to execute this So I'm calling this function. Using this function, I'm I'm gonna execute another function. And then let's see, this requires a parameter, right? Let's see what will do. See? Wow, right? We we are not using Bob in this AI function, but still we are able to append this parameter value to the this function. This is called first class function, also called first class citizen. So basically, what it happened here is, so we can, as I mentioned earlier, right? In Python, everything is an object. Is an object means we can call objects at any point of time or in any um, situation, right? So I created the save high function. This function, it requires to have a parameter, required input parameter. I created the another function. This function, it take function, another function as an input parameter, so that say hi we um, sent as an input parameter. And then what happened here is this func, it replaced by this say hi, and then this will execute it here and return with the value. So okay, how to make sure this function actually is replaced with say hi? So that is an inbuilt method in Python, I believe, func dot underscore underscore name. If I execute this, it will let us know the what is the method of the function. Perfect, right? We could able to see what function is actually it's calling to this inner function. This function is again called here and get the value. If you have still, um, mm, if you want to more detail about this first class function, I already created a video for first class function. So um, I'll put in the comment section or description section in case if you want to take a look, please check the video. Okay, let's move on to the next part. This is all about they are saying, okay, there is also called inner function. Let me simply copy this. Lazy today to type this. Um, okay, what if I execute this parent? So parent is an outer function, and this has the one print statement that is printing from the parent function, and it also has two inner function. One is first child and second child. Also, we were calling this inner function within the outer function, basically within the parent function. So, um, what will be the output if I execute? So, will it print um, printing first function is a first one, or it will print this one, or this will print this one? Okay, let's take a look in. If I execute, okay, it came into the outside the parent function, and it execute this printing the top level print statement, and then based on the order it will execute the relevant inner function. So this order seems like important, right? For example, in the situation you might build your code or write your code, some function it's depend on other function, so you have to be very careful on calling the uh, respective function before doing some operation on top of that. So what if I move this to top? So I should expect first should be the second, and second should be the third, right? Yeah, as we expected, we could see the based on um, the order this function has been executed. So this placing this function on this line is not a um, key point. Basically, when you're going to call that function, that is the important for from the Python perspective. So whenever the Python is executed this code, it will create all the methods or function in the container memory, and once start executing that, then it will execute based on the sequence we have used in our code. So this is all about inner function. I think that is um, I think that's what pretty much they have given over here. Hmm. So of course, if you call the first class outside the function, for example, if I call this um, first child class outside of the uh, main main block, right? It will definitely throw an error. So it doesn't make sense if you keep your inner function, local function to the main global program. That will not um, execute. And again, it is not true for it is only true for a function, not for variable. So there is a concept called global versus private variable or non-local variable. There you can use the inner function, inner variable also can be um, followed to the outside of the function scope as well. So if you want to uh, understand more about the global private variable information, maybe we can have a I can start preparing the document. We can maybe we can discuss in another videos. Okay, now let's move on. And returning functions from functions. Um, I think this is also one of the true, right? For example, um, so I just copy this code from here and paste it here. So let me walk through what this code actually I copied here. So I have a outside function called parent, and it take the num as a input parameter. Uh, Under the parent function, I do have a two inner function. This will not execute until we call that function. So this first child is returning, hey, Emma, and second child, it's calling the Liam. So the parameter value what I'm going to pass from the for this function, if it is equal to this one, then it will execute this first child, else it will execute the second child. So basically this is what we used to see, right? For for running for executing the function. So but somehow they are given um, without parentheses. Let's see, let's take a look what it actually does. So if I execute this f equal to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this um, or or let's say print parent. So I have to pass the parameter, right? If it is one, it should return, it should execute this first child. If it is two, if it is greater than one or less than one, it should execute this second child function. So I'm going to pass one. So my expectation is it should go here, the condition will satisfy and it will execute the first child, right? So it does something it doesn't throw any error, but the expectation is it should return this value, but rather it return the function object, right? Because whenever you call this, okay, whenever this parent one we provide this execution for the outside function, it will come here. So num equal to 1 and it return the first child as a object because we are not calling that, right? Let, let's change this to parenthesis. Let's see what is going to happen. If I change to the parenthesis, then yes, you're seeing, right? So it is running the first child function, excuse me, and it return the actual value, all right? So what you can do is rather if you remove this, also if I take a look on um, um, whether executing or not, right? We can take a look executing. Hmm. So though we are giving the print statement here, this still considers an object. It's not returning that value, right? So what if I change this to this? Mm, okay, this has to return something, right? So f, perfect. Okay. So what is happening is this object return as an object. Initially, I just printed that outside function as an object, right? I'm not I'm not executing that again the object, right? So for example, maybe what I can do is let's take this. Will it work or not? I'm sure. Um, I can. Oh, that is what we did here. So I I whatever the object is returning here, right? I copy that object here. Um, assign that object to that variable f. So let's take a look. What is this type of f? What is the type for this variable? It's a function, right? Again, whatever I executed, this function, it's returning, though it's have a printing statement, returning everything, it returned as a function. But rather, what I'm expecting is it should return as a string, right? Because this value is a string. I should expect um, uh, the data should be in string type. But since it is not an executable method, it written as a object. That is the reason if I convert or if I again execute that function simply like with parenthesis. So obviously in Python, execute that function using function name um, within the open close parenthesis, right? So by the time if I started giving this f parenthesis, then it will convert as a uh, string and return as a value, right? So what if I take a look? See, after we converted the function, the returning value is string. We can verify this. Maybe what I can do is just convert this as a string as execute method. Now, if I change this to f, see what I'm seeing is the string. You can make sure what is the type of the variable f. I should expect str. Yes. So that is the difference being execute the method with the parenthesis, without parenthesis, without parenthesis, which means we are returning the value as a function object. If you're using with parenthesis, and you should return the value of the data type. Some cases it may be a integer, boolean. For example, if I convert this to true, then what what we can expect? This should return boolean, right? The class should be a boolean class. Yes, as we expected, we can see the boolean um, data type. Perfect. So we now understand. I think I understand a little bit of what is the inner function. Okay, then let's move on to the decorator. Okay, this is very important topic, friends, because I personally felt this decorators has been used in various day-to-day projects in real-time situation. Um, if you guys um, worked on the Django, you might see this decorator somewhere, like a login required. Those kind of decorators is a key functionality for a real-time projects. So I personally I felt this is something real important topic, and I copied the required contents from various key blogs and everything. So I started um, yeah, let's learn together. Okay, what they're saying is now we have seen the functions just like any other object. Yes, it's an object. We understand that. You're ready to move on. Magical beast. Yeah, this is the word exactly I was trying to say. Magical beast that is called a Python um, decorator. Okay, so let's start with this. Again, as I mentioned, I'm little lazy, so I'm copy this. Okay, let me walk through the code actually here. I'm creating the function name called my decorator, and it it takes function as an argument, and then inside the my decorator function I'm created have another function called wrapper, and it is doing something, print something is happening before the function is called. There is some statement is there, and it is having the function call, because this gonna take a function as a input parameter, and and it pass that function to the inner function. So though you're not using the parameter here, um, this is called inner function, right? Inner function, inside function, first class function, whatever it is. So we can um, we can we can use that parameter within the function, and this line is doing it's gonna call another function, and after that call it's gonna print something, and this is what the inner function does. And outside function has this statement called return wrapper. So when Python interrupted this line, um, the first line, it go here and take the line and come back to sixth line, return wrapper, and again go to the second line and will do something and return some data. Okay, um, that is all about this um, the decorator function. So you might wonder why I copied this as I or I why I kept the function name as wrapper. This is the convention for the decorator function. So or decorator method. Um, you this is an arbitrary function name value. You can give any name you want, but um, most of the Python developers they stick with this um, naming convention. So if you have more than one wrapper or more than one function within the decorator, you can have like wrapper first, wrapper two with wrapper underscore. So whenever I see this wrapper function name starting with that, so I can understand, hey, something this is related to decorator or um, so this little bit helpful for the other programmers to focus on other area rather than understanding what actually does, right? Okay, let's move on to other line here. They do have some print statement and some execution. Okay, now let's try this. Say hi, and it takes no argument. It takes no argument, and it's gonna print hello world, our actual program, right? Complex program, 10 lines. Wow. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, so everything is an object. You can call function using another function, right? So let's say um, what decorators in mean. Um, for example, you write some code, you want to use that code without rewriting the same code again and again. That is the concept of um, the decorators. So eventually, the you might heard about the three letters concept, right? DRY, do not repeat yourself. So that's what um, um, you know, I understand the real meaning of the dry. So basically, let's say this is the one function. I want to execute this function. I want to execute this function, but I also want to know what is the function name before executing and after executing, right? So I want to do something before executing the function and after the execution function. So that is the common function I want to use across as many function I want to use. For example, I have another function, say A or another function B. I want to implement the same functionality. For example, I want to know what I want to execute something um, before A execute and after A execute. Also, same thing I want to execute before execute B function. Also, after B function execute, I want to do something, some functionality I need to do something, right? So basically, what I can do is I can simply copy this function and I can um, replace here like this and print hello world. And this pretty much, if I execute this, what if print um, print say hi hi not a hit say hi, so it will return print something. It's doing some logic and hello world and and a function called, and it returned none because I'm not returning anything function, so it returned as a none object, none output. So I have assume I have another function, say a. I want to use the same logic here, but this time instead of hello world, they say hello, let's learn something. Then again print a, right? So intent. So if you notice the program or script which I using on this function, pretty much I'm repeating myself, right? The same these two line, whatever that is already in this function, I'm repeating myself. In order to avoid those repeating, um, Python has the concept called decorator. So basically, using decorator, you can extend your program or extend your method logic based on the existing one. It's not like inheritance. Um, it's a kind of inheritance. It's not exactly inheritance. Um, f- uh, you can use the one function logic to the your function. So it's not only to the function decorators. You can use decorators for the class also. Excuse me. So many programmers will prefer they prefer to have a decorators on class rather than function. Some programmers they'll prefer to keep functions as a decorator. It's up to you guys. Based on your requirement or based on your convenient, you can take your route to whether you want to stick with you want to create a decorators on class or function, right? Okay, I think we are extending ourselves. So that is all about. I deleted everything. Let me keep this here and print hello world. Let me remove this and remove that. Let me. Okay. So I want. So th- as I mentioned, right? So using one function, you want to use that function logic to your program to the other function. That is called about decorator, right? So in let's take a look what I'm trying to say here. So I'm gonna take f as a variable. So I'm gonna execute this my decorator function, and this my decorator function will take another function as a parameter. So we do have another function called say hi. So remember, you should not use the bracket here. So if you use the bracket, then Python will treat as a callable method, but we don't want to have as a callable method. Rather, we want to pass as a function, as an object, right? So I'm gonna get rid of this two square bracket from here. And um, what if I execute this? Cool, it doesn't throw any error, though it is not returning any value. Let's take a look what because we are not any printing value, right? So what I'm going to do is let's take a look what is the type of f. Hmm. It's a f. It's a function, right? So let me um, call this as callable method now, or simply I can type f because I do have the print already. If I execute this, what are you seeing? Oh, okay. This save hive function will come here as a function parameter, and this return um, um, so this will take a function as an input parameter, and then it will go on to the in uh, inside function called wrapper, and the wrapper will executed this something happened before function is called statement, and then what are the function we executed, right? It has it has that function object, right? So basically it will convert as a say hi hello, say hi here, and it will execute the print hello world here, and then after it complete the print hello world, it return the print something after function is called, and then finally it return the function output as a function. It's returned the function, and then we have called that function. It returned the statement here. Okay, in order to verify what is actually it's doing, there is a inbuilt method I showed you, right? Using f statement You can um, have what is the function we are calling func dot dot name. I want to also know what is the function is called after it's executed, right? So what is function name is there before execution? What is the function name is there after the execution? So I want to know the function name basically. If I execute, wow, what you see here is the function name. Whatever you're passing here, that's a say hi, right? You can um, you can also have a print statement. You can see what is it is calling here the function parameter. But pretty much what you're seeing is it is uh, executing the say hi, and say hi is replaced with this function here, and execute is print hello world, and it goes on the sixth line here, and again it's executed the print method here, right? What if I take f dot underscore underscore name? Um, can you guys uh, tell me what would be the um, function name for this variable, for this function, right? Um, if you have the right answer, okay, let's execute. What you're seeing is wrapper. Where this wrapper is coming, right? Because after we executed the function, this output came here and return this wrapper function as an output, right? We are not, after we executed this, come back or come out from this wrapper function, we are returning the wrapper function. We are not returning the function, right? So that is the reason we are seeing the wrapper function name of outside of the function. So that is makes sense, right? So I just want to show you the difference between uh, the the calling function and the returning function name, how it is looks like. So I hope you guys I little bit understand the what is the how to extend the logic of one function with the other function using the decorator concept. But still now we are not using the cool easiest way to call the decorator, but this is the this is what that syntax will do. We'll take a look in a couple of minutes. Okay, let's move on to the uh, document here. So so that's what they are talking about the however wrapper as reference to original. Okay. We got it right. So hmm, they do have a when common, I mean, simple example, real time. Maybe it's not real time, but some situation it may require to have this kind of logic in place for doing some um, performance check or log. So usually this decorator, what I understand is people used on various uh, uh, log logging perspective, capturing the log of the given function name when it's executed. Uh, whenever whenever it throws an error, we it's thrown error, we can capture that error in a log file. So that is one of the um, most common use case for having that decorator in place. Okay, so let's convert this, change this to say hi here, um, and hello world. I don't like that word we, so change to hello world here. And not during the night. Okay. Um, People kept the more meaningful name, right? So not during the night. Okay. Um, okay, we can keep rest of the stuff as it is. So let me walk through the code before executing this stuff. So the datetime is one of the inbuilt package in Python. So from datetime, import datetime. So having the function name called not during the night, it taking the function as a parameter. As we saw earlier, we defined the wrapper function and finally return the wrapper function. Excuse me. So what the wrapper function does is, hey, if the time is less than 22 hour, so basically daytime now. So daytime now, it will return the um, current um, timestamp. If I execute this, let's see what is my timestamp. 2019, 29, 1943, yeah, 7:43 p.m. Right? So um, if I have this here, then it should return 19. Yes, because it's 17, right? So what um, we can think of is, hey, if my time is less than 7, then uh, execute. If my time is less than 7, so in our situation it's not less than 7, right? It is already crossed um, 7 hours, sorry, 7:44, right? So ideally should not execute. So let's take a look how it is actually looks like. If even I don't want else pass, if the my current times, whenever, let's assume you copy this script or put into the next machine or cron dap, you want to make sure, hey, I don't want to execute this code before 7 p.m. Um, then you can have um, you can use this decorator here. So let's take a look. So what I'm doing here is daytime now har, so it should not execute this function. And I have, of course, another logic function here, print hello world. And what I'm expecting is it should not return this print hello world, right? So let's take um, f as a variable here and say, and not during the night. That is my decorator name, decorator function, and I'm going to call this uh, my another function because I want to use the this function logic here. So that's why I'm passing this um, um, function as part of the parameter, and then I'm executing that function. So it should not execute this print hello world, right? Yes, doesn't um, doesn't return any print statement, right? Hello world, because the value, the time is not less than 19. What if I change to greater than 19? Hmm, not because still we are in the 7 o'clock, right? 7:44. It is if it is greater than 19, pretty much we are looking for 20, 21, 22, right? So what if I change to greater than equal to, then which will includes 19 also, right? So then it should return print hello world. Yes, as we expect, and it return the hello world, right? So this is the one of the simple use case where we can have a logic in one function and we can extend that logic to the other function. That is called decorator simply. I hope you guys little bit understand about the decorators. Um, in case if you are having any challenges or any issues, um, please let me know. Okay, let's move on to the other. Um, hmm. this is the way of the Python to have call uh, that function simply using the at the rate um, at symbol, right? So you don't want to use this two line um, to execute the functionality. Rather, you can simply um, this is the more Pythonic way to have the constructor in your function. So I want to use this logic into my say hi function, right? So I want to have this function on top of my say hi function. So rather than having this function name, let me comment this for a while, and you can simply have this operator at symbol and following with the function name. Then if you execute the say hi, it will simply return the print execute. So you can make sure also, right? Print, um, if, let's see, time is daytime, not now. Okay. You see what it is? It is executing this, go to the wrapper function and print the time value and following with our function. Perfect. So this is the uh, more Pythonic way to call the decorators. Cool, right? So just one line, we can have um, one. Think about this is a four-line code, right? Think about if you have a more logic with 100 lines, you don't want to repeat yourself to the another function, right? You can simply uh, inherit it using the decorator operator uh, to the new function, right? Cool, super cool. Okay, let's move on. Reusing the decorators. So it is pretty much common, right? You can have this um, decorator in a separate file, and you can import that decorator, the same function, and you can use that. But for this video, let's stick with the same file for uh, for a easy purpose to understand what actually does in the same program or same script rather than importing from other file. Okay, that is all about that discussing about the importing file and everything. Mm, cool. And decorating function with argument. Hmm. As of now, what we saw is it the function it's calling without any or it's not passing any parameter to the function, right? So it's so if it is a parameter, then we have to pass some arguments before executing this um, function, right? So let's take a couple of example here. So what they have here is let's copy this and I'm gonna replace this and insert my I'm gonna replace this my decorator, my decorator, and this will take a function call, sorry, not fun, it's a function, and calling this my decorator here, and I'm gonna execute this function called greet. So the greet should run hello name, right? So name, I have to pass the parameter. So let's say I execute this Bob as a, I'm giving Bob string as an input parameter to this function, so that what I'm expecting is whenever this, sorry, this my decorator, um, print before, and this for more debugging purpose, what is actually is doing in backend, or sorry, um, doing while program is running. So if I execute this, see, um, we are giving the Bob as input parameter as per this function. It's perfect. It should return value, right? But since we are overwriting this logic with using this my decorator, this my decorators expects this my decorator func will replace with the greet function. Whenever this greet function will execute, it requires the parameter, right? So basically, it will convert like this, but doesn't have the Bob here. Sorry. So basically, if I type like this, what will happen? So wrapper takes 0, but 1 was given. That is another issue. But but we are not seeing other issue, right? Because um, um, if I move this code here, name grid is not defined. Uh, Grid is okay. We are trying to call this um, function of the function. I can simply get rid of this decorator for mobile. Okay, so still instead of this, let's say decorator um, some grid. See, so I can pass this grid function here, though it's not doing anything because I'm not calling the function, but I can able to execute this grid function here, and it is replacing the Bob value here, right? Why I showed this one is um, the expectation is the function should also get some parameter value, right? So basically, whatever the grid Bob is we are passing, it should also pass that Bob value here somehow. If I execute, yes, it's taking the zero positional argument, but one was given because the wrapper function, whenever we call that function, um, this looking for an input parameter, right? So that is a um, inbuilt option or the keyword called it's an inbuilt parameter, right? So whatever the input parameter we are passing, we can pack all the values, the particular value in a arg, basically in an argument using the single star. This will um, pack all the values we are passing to the function as a tuple, and also if you want, if you're also passing the value key value pair here also as part of your function, then you can also have your keyword arguments in place. So in case if you want to um, discuss more about these orgs and keyword orgs, let me know. We'll have another session. We'll discuss more in detail about the orgs and keyword orgs. Okay, now I'm open to get all the values on this org. Now I can simply pass this args and keyword aux um, to this function. What if I execute now? Hmm. Greet take one, but two are given because there is a no need for having the uh, one more argument, right? Because greet function it requires it takes only one argument as the input parameter. So we know already it's a string value, so we can get rid of this keyword argument here, um, and then we can execute this. You can see is hello world because it's a tuple, right? You can also change to arg value, and it is returning the um, value to the function, right? So this is all about passing the arguments um, to the decorators or return the um, value to the functions. Okay, let's we have few more topics like I want to show the practical example also, right? So I think we can um, move forward. So this is what they discuss about the aux keyword org in a wrapper function. Um, that's pretty much we discuss. Um, okay, as of now, what we are seeing is we are just printing that value. What if you change to high, right? Let's change this, copy these two line, mm, these two line with these two line. Okay, create greetings and hi name. I should expect hi Bob. Hmm. Before it came here and it executed this, it returned the print statement, but it not return any value, right? Though I have written hi name, this should what I'm expecting is to replace with Bob here and should return value. What is happening, right? Hmm. So ah, they're giving oops, your decorator ate the return value from the function. Yes, it ate the value, right? So, but it is not actually. Rather, what it happening is we just executed the statement, but not storing or not returning the data to the return wrapper function, right? So what does it mean is this function execute, that's it. It doesn't return anything because we are not having the return statement, right? Um, so that what is happening is, so it simply executes the function as it is and um, and return the wrapper function outside of the function, right? So basically, after you execute, we have to return some data back to the wrapper function so that wrapper function will keep the data and return back to the outside of the function. So what does it mean is if I change or if I add the return statement here, return function argument, then this value will return back here and this return value will return back to the wrapper function. So what if I execute now? Mm, return function creating greeting and it is not still doing, all right? So what if I change to print? Hmm, right? You can see, as I mentioned, right? Uh, if you um, um, if you noticed, I mentioned about this wrapper. This wrapper function written as a function, right? So in order to execute the function, we have to use print statement or we have to copy this function in another variable and execute that. That's what I did. So whatever the wrapper function it returned back, I simply execute the function, and then that executed function, whatever it returned, the value, it returned back the data to me. That's what happened here. So super cool, right? So this is the way you can have the return statement, um, return value in a decorator. Who are you really? Introspection. That is a inbuilt functions in Python. You can understand what functions we are calling and we are using on every execution. So that's what they are mentioning in this article. Um, okay, let me remove this name for a while and just simply return the function and just print the statement. And what if I so what they are saying is do twice some functions that some they're given some example, but we are not following this examples, right? But we are following this document, but we're not following this example. I'm just trying to show you guys having the funct tool functionality, why it is required. So give me a minute, guys. So I'm just checking name, and it is doing has got very confused identity. Okay. Um, what if let's say great? Mm, let me get rid of this for time being. Um, create um, greet underscore name. What is CV? Mm, CV this print statement. Yeah, that's what we also have. Um, so, however, after being decorated, CVs has gotten very confused about its identity. I know there is some identity issues of having the wrapper function. So, if you but I'm not able to get that actual stuff. Sorry, guys, I'm also still learning, so I have to go through all this document. I have to understand, right? So let's take a while. Uh, who's going to stop you, right? Okay, after being decorated, say V has gotten very confused. What is say V? And they are directly executing here. So let me print that. Print greet. Hmm. Right. So it though I executed a greet function, but it returning the my decorator function as my function name. How come? Just to add one more, right? The great inbuilt method name. Wow, wrapper. Why? This will get confused, right? That's what they're given in the article. So basically, think about the debugging. So you have a n number of decorators in your program, and you're using the decorator um, in your function, but your function treat as a treat the decorator as a function name, rather you want to use your own function or the greet here in our example as a function name, right? So that's what I expect. So whenever I execute the greet dot underscore underscore dunder name method, I should expect to see the greet function has to be pass, right? So so there is no direct um, way we can achieve this. Of course, we can write a class method to update the override of this wrapper function method, and we can do all the stuff. But why? That is an um, inbuilt method is available in place. We can we can simply use that, right? So that is all about the func tool here. So um, in order to resolve the identity of which function has to be used in your callable method, this will really helpful. Maybe in our example, not helpful. In a think about 1,000 lines of code, this tool definitely would helpful to understand the what is the function we are calling in the given might given decorator or given another function, right? So I can simply add import func tools, and then on top of this wrapper function, I'm gonna use the decorator of func tools, excuse me, dot wrapper, I believe. So update wrapper or wraps. So wraps, and it will take the the same function as a parameter. Now, if I execute this, it should say grid. Wow, what a magic, right? This is what supposed to see for my um, execute function. So let's add one more function for testing. Let's say hi, uh, hello world, and let me print hi dot dunder name. Then wow, it is returning. The function name is greet and hi as we expected, right? This is the uh, use case. This is the where we can use these func tools to update your wrapper function with the actual call function name. So that's all about their discuss about the function tool wrap. Few real world example um, like um, for example, you want to capture when the function the starting time of your function and or ending time of the function, right? You can uh, use the decorators in the real-time situation. So let me copy this, or I don't want to go through much detail on this here. I'm just walk through here the same. I'm just copy this. So what um, actually the program does here is um, of course that the importer func tools and import time, and as we saw the func tools dot wrap function, and they are using the decorator here waste some time, and how many times that function is uh, returning the value here, and they're calculating the um, starting time of the function and taking the what is my parameter of the function, and what is my end time of the function, and then um, and I'm calculating what is my overall execution of that function. For example, if I execute um, waste some time, and this will, so basically this underscores nothing but will, I'm looping the for loop without having any variable, um, because there's no use of variable here to use my this function, right? Or this here. So this is list comprehension, and I'm on top of that, I'm checking what is the sum of the value. So this taking the number of time has to give a range function. For, let's say I give 10, so it'll go on for loop of 10 times, and um, the range of 1000, top of the 1000 range, um, it will square the square, taking the square root of the given value. And after executing this function, before executing function, this will take, it will start counting that starting time, and that value, that function we are calling here using and stored in a value, and the end time, what is the after the function has been executed, and finally we are checking what how long the function got executed, and printing the given value here, and then return the value. So if I execute the finished wasted time, which is our function name, in 0.0707 seconds. So this way you can extend your function logic to validate how long it took to execute for a given um, method, right? So what if I execute this many times? Mm, okay, I think I given many zeros here. So um, it started doing the calculation of 1,000 times. Oh, sorry, 10,000 times. This loop has to be gone through here, right? So let me change to 100. 100 also it has to require some seconds, but yeah, it returned the value, right? This is some one of the real-time situation where we can use this um, uh, function for decorator. Okay, now I'm really excited to um, work on Django with a real-time um, decorator, right? So whatever we learned so far with the decorators, let's try to have our own decorator in Django and see how it looks like, right? So I'm I'm sure, guys, I have been working on Django for a couple of years with this decorator, but um, I don't understand what it's actually the decorator does in backend, right? So um, so my request is always you guys start learning the fundamentals first and become a master in the fundamentals, and you can crack any area in it is a if it is verb or game, anything you can crack if you know the fundamental very strong. Okay, let's jump on um, the Django. So what I did is this is my Windows PowerShell, and here I have my virtual environment. So I'm going to activate my virtual environment here. So um, let's start install Django. So this will install Django on your virtual environment. Um, I don't want to get into that more detail of what Django will do or what virtual environment will do. Rather, I'm gonna directly jump on to the decorator concept on the real-time situation, real-time example. what I'm gonna do uh, for this um, example, maybe if you're a Django developer, you might heard about the login required, right? So the login required is nothing but let's say you have a user authentication website. It, any website, definitely it might have a user authentication, right? So um, before login, you don't want to show any content or some of the content on your page. By the time you have to make sure you have to forcefully um, um, redirect those kind of requests to the login page, right? So that is what most of the websites they will developers will do. So, for example, let's say if I am logged to Amazon or Facebook without login, I want to post something, right? Though you're already logged in for a long time back after it's signed automatically, and you're trying to open that particular URL, and it is redirect to the login page, right? So which means the session maybe got expired or something like that. So what I'm trying to say is uh, any request, any content of your page, you don't want to show something to the user if they are not logged in or if not authenticated user or not logged in user. Uh, Django has a inbuilt login required decorators as well as the as a function, also as a class decorators also is there. But in this example, we're going to create our custom um, login required decorator um, so that we'll we'll compare what we learned with decorators, how we can how it gonna impact our uh, actual project. Uh, Maybe it would helpful for you guys. So if not, I'm sorry. Um, I hope it will be helpful. Okay, cool. We install Django. Now let's create the project. Start project. I'm saying, let's say, um, tutorial. So I'm creating a project. Oh, I activated. Forget. I install Django, right? Start projects. I really. Oh, it's not a project. It's a project. Sometimes you guys do some mistake, right? Okay. Now we created the project, CD tutorial, and I'm gonna create an app, let's say um, blog app. Let me open my Django Learning and select folder. Okay, so I'm using Sublime text editor. This is more convenient for me to um, expand my the parent-child folders here. Okay, this is our virtual environment. This is my project, and this is my blog. Okay, so before jump into that, let me migrate Python manage migrate. It created everything, and also I'm gonna uh, Python manage create super user, giving some password. Okay, now let's run the server. Now let's take a look. Mhm. Come on, maybe. Come on. Okay, if I go to the local host, by default, um, this will run on 8000 port. So yeah, so we installed Django and it's running on browser. Okay, let's move on. Um, what I want to do is let me add my blog app here and on URL, copy this path. So we are using include. So bring the include in our from class or from statement, and then sorry guys, I have to go fast. I just want to show you only the decorators part, not with Django. It's not Django tutorial, so please stick with stick with for a while. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this. We don't want um, this. We even don't want include. Get rid of this and from views import. I'm gonna create home index in a while. Also copy this. So Django is cool. They are given all sample examples and define home since we added the home as a name. It will take request. It, let's say HTTP response. So I have to import HTTP response here. Welcome to Let's Learn tutorial. So this is a simple view. Um, this will have here. So I have to migrate. So make migrations. Mm, okay, what from dot views? It's a relative path, right? So views dot home is not defined. I saved it, right? Saved it. Uh, oops, sorry. I want to input the views. Um, or you can get rid of this like this. But this is more convenient way. I have to go. I will stick with this same option. So now let's make migration. Okay. Um, migrate. Okay. Now run server. Okay. I don't see any issue. So we already created a super user, right? We can validate the super user here. Just simply log in. I can now it's logged in, right, with admin user. Um, now if I go back to the blocks which we created, the app which we created, blogs or blog, it's a blog, right? So it's a blog. Um, Welcome to Let's Learn Tutorials. Okay, this is a simple um, web page we use using Django as a backend server. Perfect. So now um, there is a um, inbuilt decorator, right? From Django.contrib.auth.decorators import login required. If I this is a this is a out of the box Django method decorator. We just need to import from here, and I'm since we are going to use this decorator here, we can as we saw right at the symbol login required. So if I execute this page now, or if I refresh this page now, what should I expect? According to me, it should return welcome to Let's Learn Tutorial because I already logged in as admin. So, so in our situation, um, it will render this page and it return this same message again. Let's validate. If I refresh this page, yes, perfect. What if I open in another browser or incognito window, anything? So for time being, I'm for better um, understanding, right? I just open another browser, Firefox. Here, I didn't log in as an admin user, right? So if I log in here, what what you're seeing? It automatically redirecting to the login page. So it forcefully asking us to, hey, you are not logged in on this localhost 8000 port blog app. So you have to log in first before you want to see the information on the blog, right? So this is the one functionality of login required functionality we extended in our view or in our or view this home function. So this is the practical example we are um, we are um, pretty much using in the Django on daily basis, right? So okay, okay, this is out of the box login required. What if I want to customize this login required with the decorator function, right? Cool, right? We already learned decorator. Now let's try to add our own decorator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this, get rid of this for time being. I'm going to create custom login required. So this is my decorator name, custom login required. So it will take function, right? And what we saw is it will take another function called wrapper, right? That wrapper will call the function, what we are going to call that function, right? And then it simply return that function. This is the uh, simple uh, decorator method we have seen our um, starting of this video, right? So just created the custom login required function, and it takes that function as a parameter, and on top of that, it has a inbuilt function, inside function called wrapper. This will simply execute uh, the function we are going to pass and return the return wrapper function. And then I can simply add this custom login required function, right? So what if I execute, I already logged in on my Google Chrome browser, right? What if I execute? Wrapper takes two positional argument, one was given. This is the same issue we we also saw a couple of minutes, right, in our the decorator py sublime text program, right? So now we are seeing in real time web application. That is pretty cool, which means this function expects some request, expects some parameter, but we are passing no parameter to the function. So what we can do, we can simply add aux and keyword aux, right? Aux and keyword aux. Just simple, right? Okay, now let's try to execute. Now same in Google browser. I'm already logged in as admin. Now I'm going to execute this. Hmm, still thinking. Invalid syntax. Oh, it should be. Um, I have to save this file. Oh, here. Perfect. Now if I execute this now, this time is different error. Your function return none. We saw that, right? Because our wrapper function does not return any value. This also we have seen in our example, earlier example, right? So I have to simply um, or pass, simply I can pass return you are not logged in, something like that as a HTTP response. What if execute now? Hmm. See, I already logged in as a user, but somehow uh, we did our own customized login required decorator in Django. That is pretty cool, right? We are um, I'm really excited. So, but the problem is I already logged in, right? You can see I'm logged in the Django administration, and if I refresh this page, still I'm login page, but it should not say as I should supposed to see um, this welcome to Let's Learn Tutorial, not logged in. So we have to add few more Django validation in our wrapper program. That is called if I know this function argument, right? This will return the method called user. So I'm pulling that arg0 as a um, from the tuple. I read in the tuple value. I because I know what this request object, this method will send the request as a parameter. I know that object. That's why I'm without executing or without debugging, I can able to validate that. So if user is authenticated, then or or not, um, if the user is not authenticated, then it should supposed to return this not logged in. Now let's execute this. Hmm. Wrapper did not HTTP response. It returned none in sets. Okay, I removed that function, right? So func aux keyword aux. Hmm. It's still view block didn't return the none insert. So what is happening? Okay, this is the time to see what is the org is passing here. Um, org of 0, right? If I refresh this page, if I go to my console, I can see uh, what is it's actually is passing. Uh, it passing that some get request. Okay, if I change this to user dot, I mean, I'm trying to access the object value of the parameter we are passing from this function. This function. Um, Let me refresh this page again. I mean, refresh the server. If I run this now, let's take a look the value now. See, I can see um, the value, right? So I can using the dir method, I can see what is other available functions or methods. Mm, I'm just trying to debug the code, guys, because I'm also trying to see extend my code with a custom code, right? So it's throwing an error. It's not returning the value. So I'm just trying to debug my code. Mm, okay. So this director method, it's have this is authenticated. Okay. Okay. If this is authenticated, um, then return that function. What if return the function? Else you are not logged in. Let's try, give a try. Come on, come on. Wow, cool. It worked, guys. See, so I'm just validating that user is, this is the um, uh, inbuilt, the request uh, method the parameter we are passing, right? It returned that parameter here as a user object, the object dot the instant that method or variable. I can able to access that variable um, since we already passed that variable here, right? So our user is authenticated. If the user is authenticated, which means they are already logged in, then I'm executing that function and return the function welcome. It return the same response. If not, then I should expect this value, right? Then I'm going to go to the Firefox browser now. I'm going to execute the blog now. Wow, what you're seeing? You're not logged in. We did our first custom login required in Django. Cool, right? This is the way um, I request you guys to learn any technologies, any framework. Learn the fundamental and try to implement in a real-time world. Then you definitely, I'll say, you'll become a master in that particular subject area or a particular framework technology. Cool, right? Perfect. So one more level, if I um, want to do that, I can simply say, hey, redirect. I can import that method instead of HTTP response, redirect my, um, I know this inbuilt accounts login. So accounts login. If I refresh this now, it will take to the account login redirect. We don't have account login URL right now, but it will forcefully say to the user to refresh to the user, um, redirect to the login page. Cool, right? So we learned how to have our own customized decorator in real-time world. Perfect, right? I hope you guys definitely will enjoy this video tutorial, whatever it is. I definitely liked because I started learning along with you guys. So um, definitely, I hope it will help you. Um, please um, um, put your suggestion on a comment section, like my videos, or subscribe. Um, it will motivate me to create more videos like this. Okay, see you guys. Thank you.